Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Colonel Rick.
And this is Ring Roo, low.
And folks, we're going to have to be quick today because we're starting with close combat. And why is it close combat? Well, it's because we're on Slutsk East for one, and we're also in Herr Robert's monthly tournament, each of which has a beautiful, beautiful theme to kind of enjoy. This month, close combat starts. So, Rang, who do we have and what do they bring into the front?
Left hand side in blue, we have Old Pete playing as a Grossdeutschland division with a balanced income. Right hand side in red, we have a badgerjelly playing the second guard tank corps with a Vanguard income.
Well, right now we're seeing kind of a ridiculously kind of insane push. And I say insane because we used to have quad maxim trucks moving forward, but right now we have dozers running on in to just blitz this 88. And this 88 apparently has a minimum range and just can't shoot at him for some strange reason.
Yeah, he's busy shooting the maxims instead, and the dozers are gonna make their way through. And this is the thing about close combat. We don't see it all that often, but it does allow for real crazy openers such as this.
Absolutely nothing else. We're going to see some crazy, just like recon kind of coming on through. Not quite the same kind of recon that we saw over here on Tuesday, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. That 88 will already find a little bit of engagement with the ISU 152, and I'm pretty sure he's going to lose this fight pretty quickly.
Yeah. Almost done, yeah, just one more shot. But of course, ISU is pretty anticlimactic with its reload.
I kind of liken it to like a Death Star kind of scenario here, where it's just like, when it shoots, you're going to know it. But regrettably, I can't watch it. I'm going to turn away. It's too bloody. This is still a stream which is theoretically rated for kids, even though I have to mark it not safe for kids otherwise. But we're starting off early here. We're starting off early. 88 getting pounded. I got a pack getting pounded. What should we expect between the second and Grossdeutschland?
I mean, both pretty decent in the armor category, and both decks, just looking at the deck loadout, it's actually pretty similar. There's not too much differences, really. I feel this would be a pretty even fight, all things considering. I think the income's going to be more of the major differences, as badgerjelly is definitely taking advantage of his Vanguard income right now to really lead the push.
Well, here's the other thing to ask about as well, is we talked about, you just said before, that close combat allows us some crazy kind of openers. What's so different about close combat, and why is it that we don't tend to see it as often in the community?
I think the reason you don't see it is I don't think it's the most balanced game mode, because it is a little bit too easy to just rush at the start of the match and be into instant action. Like, maneuver and, like, transport speeds are much less of a priority in close combat. But I don't really care too much about that, because it allows for really fun openers which make it fun to cast. And as a caster, that's the main thing I care about.
True. Just like the GD Storm Group up here, I mean, able to just absolutely obliterate anything coming on through. Bizarrely enough, not controlling that town. I think it's because I was rinky-dink little Automachica Camarotti over here. Yeah, actually, that's absolutely what it is. I'm surprised that Camarotti controls as much territory as he does.
Yeah, it's because his leader unit gets an extra bonus.
Yeah, but you know what? His mother wears army boots, so.
Yeah, I do like how badgerjelly is definitely starting to exploit this central push now. He's pretty much got this central hill almost completely under his control. I mean, the dozers holding fire in the backline here are actually providing some nice reconnaissance support, even though they're literally right next to his Panzer IV.
That's true for now. But remember, folks, 6 minutes are going to go by, and that's when the P-Grens are going to get kicked into gear.
Yeah, once we get into B phase, I mean, things really do start to even out, and C phase really gets ugly for badgerjelly, especially with his deck. I mean, his Vanguard, he really only has A and B phase units, nothing in C.
And well, we are seeing that actually happening right about now, except for the ISU 152, yikes, in the center. Able to engage. Almost, I think he actually might have killed his own troops.
Wouldn't be surprised.
No, neither would I, but it's still not something I'd be like, yes, let's go and write home about that, folks. Let's be happy about our success in killing our friends. P4, in the meantime, though, he's just going to lock it down as well. He cannot be engaged right now by anything other than that ZIS 2.
Yep. It's not an ideal engagement for him. Been seeing some, quite a bit more armor being brought out here from Old Pete. Some light vehicles in the center, Panzer for up north. We have that Tiger heading into the town. But yeah, I feel like badgerjelly is really just trying to focus his attention in the center. But he only has a 1410. He really needs to get up to a 15-9 and get that +2 bleed to really make that Vanguard income worth it.
Exactly. And isn't that always kind of the push-pull that you have to worry about over here as a Vanguard deck, is that you've got to be able to really get that quasi-knockout punch over here in the first 10 minutes, maybe the first 20 at the absolute most.
Exactly, Khan. Because especially when up against a balanced player, like income just really starts to screw you over once you get into C phase. If it's against a Maverick or another Vanguard player, it's really not that big of a deal.
Unless, of course, you have so much anti-tank in the center, it doesn't matter what your opponent brings in terms of vehicles overall, because, geez, I didn't recognize the fact that there's 3 Zisk guns, ISU 152, and theoretically a 234 that can kind of swing around whenever it's necessary.
Yeah.
But I actually really like the fact that right now we have the Comandanti of an 85. I feel like he's trying to literally tank and spank this Tiger. He's trying to draw him in. I can feel it. I can feel him kind of trying to draw him in.
Yeah, flank and then potentially get a good flank, but Old Pete is not going to fall for his tricks and keep his tank back for the time being. I think Badger really does need to start trying to push a bit more aggressively up north and try to flip a flag or two over here. I mean, we're probably not going to see anything happen down south just due to how scary it is to push, especially against a heavy armored tank division like Grossdeutschland, or Panzer Grenadier, I should say.
But that PE2 will still get a nice little bit of terrifying moments. Otherwise, yes, sir?
I don't wonder if the Focke-Wulf is going to catch up, but no, the PE2 is pretty speedy.
It's speedy-ish, yeah.
But not speedy enough. I should have kept my mouth shut.
Exactly. The death of those airplane crews is on your head.
Oh god, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight.
You know, you go for a little bit of like a little bit of schnapps right before bed, knock you right out, I'm sure. But Germans, for their own particular part here, making strafing runs on those anti-tank positions, and you've got to be doing that. And you can see right now, if you pick away at it, a little bit here, a little bit there, you might be able to successfully aggress on in.
Yeah, he really needs to try and knock out that little anti-tank gun battery before he really tries to engage once again into the center. I mean, the ISU is also scary, but, I mean, you do have a better fire rate with the Tiger, so if you do survive that first shot, you can get 2 shots out.
True. ISU is resighting himself. I'm not sure if he was just going to blind fire after the Tiger. Don't know if that was the case. Happy he didn't. I think I would have felt a little bit cheated there. And this Czech tank is actually acquitting himself quite well. So guys, remember, this is the Recon P38 over here.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good sight. Got a radio, so for any kind of artillery, this is the guy to go to.
Yep. And if you're playing War Thunder, it's extremely cancerous.
Is it? I admit, War Thunder and I have not had a close relationship.
It's really, from when I played, I remember a lot of the German 20mm autocannon vehicles were just absolutely deadly at low tier. I know, because I used to play it.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, that I did play. P2 was amazing. That was so much fun to play the P2, and everyone else hated you and their little stewards and rinky-dink everything else.
Yeah. Oh, these T-34s are going to roll right past the Panzergrens. But, oh, they don't have line of sight. Oh, they do. Oh, I don't think they have range. They didn't have range. What a shame.
Well, technically this P-38 might be able to catch one on the side, and right now he is drawing fire to him. How brave! How foolish! How dead.
Very dead. Oh, the Panzergrenadier is going to have to expose himself for that shot.
Oh, they better get back in they better get back in the trees at that point. Exposing yourself may not be a felony in some cases, but still get you shot over here on the Eastern Front. Okay, all right. That was a long order kind of joke, but that's fine. Carry on, sir.
No, we're seeing like another big spurge of income before B phase here from badgerjelly. into the center. Again, a whole heap of infantry probably try to recapture that forest where the Flammenwerfers were. And we did also see a brief push down south from badgerjelly, but the Pack 40 did manage to hold it back.
Tiger redeploying, by the way, trying to avenge his little brother. Adopted little brother, by the way. Not an actual German tank, of course, so can't feel too teary about it. But we are actually the T-34 in that Tiger facing on off, and this really should only have one way for this to end.
Mm-hmm.
And the ISU, in the meantime, starts to engage those martyrs as they come up the field. Thing is, those martyrs can kill, and do.
They do indeed. You know, once you're in a pack, they're pretty scary.
But we got that. They got that 15-9. Oh, never mind. I said they had that 15-9 you were looking for, but not anymore.
No. Now, badgerjelly hasn't managed to make as enough, effective use of his incoming A phase. He's only bled down Pete by so much, and if he continues with his +1, it's not going to be sustainable trying to achieve a victory in 22 minutes. I mean, that's going to be 30 minutes into the match if things go swimmingly, and that means survive in 10 minutes against C phase income.
Very, very
and availability.
True. And very, very unlikely for that matter, too.
Yeah, he really needs to try to get out +2, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Wait, where's that Tiger taking rounds from? Oh, he's taking rounds from the ZIS-2 battery.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Those Tigers, so expensive.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I always find it really funny with the ZIS-2, because they actually had that early on in 1941, but I believe they stopped production of it because it was overkill. There's no German heavy tanks to deal with, so they just put production into the ZIS-3 gun, which is much more useful in the general purpose role.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Germans came up with Tigers a year later.
You know, I actually never really realized that. I kind of always thought the ZIS-3 should have been a better penetration. It's a higher number, of course, and therefore it must be better.
Yeah, it's mainly just more general purpose, because it was artillery, anti-tank, assault gun, you name it.
True. I mean, it did your taxes, it sewed your clothes, and it tried to actually make potatoes, but that one didn't work particularly well.
It just kept making mashed potatoes instead.
Exactly. And it's that's not the kind of borscht that, a good Russian wants on the front lines. We do have an off-map coming in over here, 152, going to be engaged in an empty area, so unless that Stroke 3 does exactly what he's doing right now, goes into the actual impact zone, not the greatest place for that particular individual.
No, I didn't think he wanted to place it too close to his infantry in case they also got blown up, but as we know here, he's not going to bloody hit anything. And Old Pete pushing on through, he has those really scary Suki-Su troops, and badgerjelly, well, not so much.
Yeah, the guards always felt a lot better when the game first came out, and then the Sturmgruppe would come out, and it was like, oh, guards, that's cute.
Yep. Yeah, much better in open field spam rather than CQC fights, especially against Grossdeutschland, which has some very nice CQC infantry, as we're seeing here.
Well, they just have multi-purpose infantry, which is even worse for everybody else.
And Sturmgewehrs, mainly Sturmgewehrs.
Yes. Yes, very, very true. Focke-Wulfs, not to be outdone, continue to hammer all its anti-tank positions, and shockingly enough, there's not a whole lot of ZIS-2s over here anymore. In fact, honestly, if you take that center ZIS-2, that's the entire card. There is nothing else there.
Oh, you're right. That's all his anti-tank, really. I mean, he still has a decent amount of T-34 85s, but even then, it's all mainly A-phase cards. He's really gonna get screwed on availability.
Yep, you will certainly be working from the boinkin on that one, that's for sure.
Yeah, he really has 1, 2, 3, 4 B-phase cards in his deck. Everything is A-phase.
Which is going to bite him in the ass.
That's really is going to bite him in the ass. I mean, usually you want to have at least a few more B-phase units if you're going for that even aggressive Vanguard, but god damn, that's going to be tough for Badger. He is doing good right now, we got to say. 16-8, he managed to push through, get those flags, And if he can keep it up for 9 minutes, I think it is definitely sustainable.
If is such a horrible word sometimes to hear as a armchair general.
And but.
Yes. Yes.
Or however.
I mean, but's okay as long as we get 2 T's. The 1 T variety, I never want to hear.
But
I feel that's a Canadian thing that I'm not getting. But that's okay.
No.
Okay.
I just like saying butch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a simple man.
Simple man.
I see big butts and I cannot lie.
Of course, at that point, you're talking about cigarettes. Hey! Tiger, in the meantime, actually, wait. 14-8. It's gonna go 14-10. Wow, jeez. Way to math there, Con. And here's the thing, too. The second Tankovy doesn't have the infantry advantage. It's true, the Germans don't have a whole lot of infantry, and they get, a third of their infantry over here in C phase. But at least they have infantry in C phase.
Yeah, and infantry is a bit more high quality, so you're getting more bang for your buck per unit.
Absolutely. We're seeing, I think, I'm not going to say the last dregs of guards being brought on in, but I feel like both sides here are kind of marshalling themselves. You can see, yep, here comes 3 Sturmgruppe being brought to the north, and that Tiger, well, that big kitty's going to have some playtime there, I imagine, pretty soon.
I'm surprised he's not dead.
He's been bombed
a tiger out in the open, stationary, usually gets killed by something, but, I mean, there's no anti-tank really left to kill it. I mean, there may be a few T-34-85s about. Oh, there's that one SIS-2 which can slowly make his way up north into that forest, but that's going to be a bit of a hike.
And meanwhile, here we are seeing the quality of those close combat troops you were talking about before. Sturmgruppe holding up 2 guard squads and getting quite a turn on them as well. Should be more than enough time to bring the infantry in for support. 4 more squads being brought on, and this should handle things rather nicely.
And a mortar half track, so Old Pete definitely has the potential to actually rupture through this town. You are seeing 2 T-34s being brought in, but if he maneuvers that Tiger efficiently, he should be fine.
Ooh, so they are. And not for nothing, but remember, it's still potential to see 8 Panthers in sea phase.
Oh, that's a few Panthers, Con.
There might be more Panthers than you see in the wild these days, yeah.
Yeah, much more being made in the 40s, Germans really had wildlife preservation on top of their list.
I'm sure there's some really, really awful comments to make about that. Let's just leave that one alone. Let's put a pin in that, come back to that. There was a lot of humor.
Imagine the joke yourself.
What's that?
It's like a do-it-yourself joke. You gotta imagine it at home.
Oh, exactly. Laugh uproariously to yourself right now, folks. The Combrati, in the meantime, he's the last guy west of that bridge. And I imagine it's going to get rather uncomfortable there pretty soon.
Yeah, if I was him, I would definitely be holding fire.
Well, he's holding fire because he's an officer. He's not going to shoot, are you kidding me? He's got underlings for that. We call them PFCs.
Yeah, he's only going to shoot, his own dudes.
Even more true. Tiger, in the meantime, is engaging those T-34s at range. Thing is, I think unless it's a hit point kill, it shouldn't be anything from the front.
Nope, it's gonna be pretty tough. He's really gonna have to use air power or flank it to actually kill that Tiger. Head on, at range, can't do anything.
Nope. Looking elsewise, though, we are going to see that a PE2 came in, just obliterated the front group of Sturmgruppe. And trying to see otherwise, where are we starting to see collections? There is a collection of troops, I think, getting ready to really shove and pinch off that north-central hillside.
Mm-hmm.
But that ZSU is going to cause such an issue for infantry. You've got to get some light armor in to take that out.
We're seeing a bit of a push all the way far north from badgerjelly, doing some probing actions with the guards, but they're probably going to receive stayed guard or to run into all this German infantry, yeah. The stand groups in the buildings, and if these flamethrowers move up, are going to be a pretty nasty combo.
Well, and right now we are going to see them. He's going to engage and really, really try to put the fire of National Socialism in the heart.
P2 trying to nuke the grill here. Does he get the kill? He kills the grill.
Actually, he barbecues the grill, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it's definitely on fire.
Tiger, in the meantime, this Tiger has actually, I think, has certainly paid himself off. It's not been, a great position considering how much of a force multiplier it could be, but it's still pretty solid, and that push in the north is dead.
Yeah. And really, badgerjelly can't be affording to lose units at this point. We're into sea phase now, the income does tick over, and his availability must really start to be hurting him, because, yeah, I mean, he barely had anything in B phase to reinforce.
Well, there's a Panther being brought into the northern town, so that thing, everything north of those bridges is going to be German. Looking in the center, we still have, I think, a rather meager defense, but one nonetheless that will hold the ground, at least until we get a little more infantry from the German side in the central position.
Yeah. I feel like for Badger, the main issue is going to be lack of anti-tank moving forward. He's really going to rely on T-3045s, and he's already lost a few of them already. And if you have many Panthers, potentially, I mean, you can't really do that much if you don't have, like, a good amount of ground-based anti-tank.
True.
Especially
Mortar
on
getting
this
into
map.
action. Going after T-3476, not really doing a whole lot, as you might suspect, because it's really hard to actually hit a tank with a mortar round. Especially from 700 meters. But he's doing what he's supposed to do. You sound like my old boss. You sound like my old boss. Don't miss. Thank you, sir. And you pay me, right? But you can see right now, MG42 Peagrens, half-tracks, more Peagrens, guard squads, can't do a whole lot against that. Really only the ultimate cheeky Comparati kind of keeping him in action. And right now, I think we're going to start to see, I'm not going to say superior German weapon systems, but certainly more numerous German weapon systems starting to come into play here.
Mm-hmm. And we're seeing, half-tracked Panzer Grenadiers, more tanks. And really, it's just going to come down to the armor, I think, in the end of the day. But it is Trove, and badgerjelly's still holding, but I don't feel like he's going to be able to actually effectively aggress. Like, I feel like one of these flanks is eventually just going to tip over. Heck, down south, I mean, Peter's made a pretty decent push here, but, the 82mm mortar and the few tanks is going to be enough to hold them back for the time being.
The question is if he's going to charge with those tanks now, or if he's just going to blind fired and hoped that he's going to have something worthwhile with them. My fear is that it's the latter.
Yeah.
Because they're not detouring around the forest. So after putting munitions into it, he decided that, you know what, maybe I got better places to be. Interesting decision. I value him for it. I completely understand.
He's really going to need some bloody infantry to retake that forest, but he's mainly using his infantry up north.
Unfortunately, most of his infantry is bloodied, as opposed to bloody. But yes.
Yeah.
And yes, there is a difference to that. PE2 coming on in. One thing I've been surprised by is actually the relative lack of German anti-air throughout most of this. The PE2 is going to come in again. He's going to pound this infantry. He's aiming for that Panther. Panther's going to get 1,000 kilograms of high explosive delivered directly to the top of his turret. Yeah.
Real express delivery, you got to give the Russians, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, delivered in 3 years or less, so.
But yeah, you're right. It's barely been any, German anti-air, and he does have quite a lot of it in his deck. 88 and 37 mils galore, two great weapon systems for blowing up aircraft.
Or at the very least, give him something else to think about,
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is a very, very strange counterpunch to the south as Pigren squad, but I'm quite curious. Pigren squad in the southern side, going for that particular flag in the town. He's got it. It's not 1311, so badgerjelly is certainly paying a little bit of a price here. I think the T-3476 has realized they have to get themselves in action, really, overall.
Yeah, he needs to try and just make something happen with them. So what's going to happen is he's going to push them down south, unsupported without recon, and there's a Pack 40.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be a recipe for disaster, right? Yeah, for those T-34s.
You know, I'm pretty sure I have a recipe for disaster that they should try, but it's something about breaking eggs first, and I don't really want to make any omelets either, so...
But see, oh, never mind. I was a bit
It's
too pessimistic, yeah.
It's premature for an instant here, but there's still Stugs, there's still a Panther, there's still martyrs over here.
Oh,
Plenty of Germans ready to give their lives for, the fatherland.
yeah, Panther would be more than enough to halt this push. He finally does have some infantry being brought in down south to try and clear out Old Pete's position. But, I mean, Old Pete is really starting to push up north here. And heck, it feels like Old Pete is... He has, like, a whole lot in the central hill. Like a Tiger Fuhrer, a Panther, those 2 martyrs. He just needs to sprinkle in some recon and a bit of infantry, and he can pretty much clear his way right through his central hill.
That is certainly possible, that's for sure. Watch this Tankovy Vanguard being brought on in, and yes, they're going to take out probably one of the Sturmgruppe over here. Ooh, T-34-76 goes down, and that goes a hefty chunk of really any Russian firepower in the south. ZIS-2, the last ZIS-2, is going to die here imminently. Meanwhile, the Shrek is taking out the half-track support, so... Not perfect. Technically, the Russians can still carry the hill.
Yeah.
I don't know how easy it might be. And wait, the PE2? PE2... Did he already get the bombs off? He already got the bombs off. What was he aiming at? Oh, he's aiming at the Stug. Interesting decision there, sir. Interesting decision.
Indeed, indeed. And we're seeing a lot more units being brought into this central hill. I do feel like Old Pete is taking a little bit too much time in trying to counterattack. I mean, he does have time on his side, but... I mean, with how badgerjelly has been playing, he is... he doesn't have much of a front line left.
And you know, I think this is just one of those situations where it's... You want to respect your opponent, but at the same time, you didn't really realize that your opponent, you think maybe a little bit too highly of their current situation.
Mm-hmm. But slow and steady will work for him, to be fair. I mean, the balanced income will only make him go up now from this point on.
True. True. Not really, as a soldier, what I want to hear, though, is the Monty attack, so... I don't know. Plus, giving him the full Monty kind of shows a little more skin than I'm ready to reveal, I'm sure. Pioneers to the north, Tankovy Vanguard. We are going to see a loose push, and I'm putting that in very, very much air quotes, because you don't really want to send half-tracks in, even with those the mod deuces on the back of them. A 12-7 is not going to break the front lines, especially with the Panther there.
Nope. I mean, one of the half-tracks only has 80 shots left. He's not going to be too much use.
I hadn't, paid attention to that either, but you're absolutely right. And
it doesn't
he goes
matter.
the way of the dodo.
He's dead. We've seen, oh, good bombing strike in the center here.
Oh, the Focke-Wulf?
Hitting both those infantry squads.
Mm-hmm. And I think we are going to see the collapse of the Soviet lines here. Do you want to take this to a ×2, perhaps?
Sounds good.
Okay. 28:50 will be the target time. And ×2. And so at this point, guys, I'm not going to say it's all over about the shouting, because right now, Old Pete's the kind of not even warming up for the final number just yet. But badgerjelly just doesn't have the troops. And all we really need to, have Old Pete do is just, go over on the right, as his historic counterpart should have surely had done at Gettysburg.
Just go up the hill, it's easy.
Exactly. The little round thing, get up there.
Yeah, it's not that hard, come on.
But at long last, we are seeing a bunch of German infantry being delivered, and I think there's going to be a little more of a knockout than we had finally anticipated. Even very, very tentative push here to the south. Take out the last Tankovy Vanguard, and that should be good for at least 2 flags. Which will flip, of course, the bleed over here in favor of the Germans, and decidedly, I would argue, away from the Soviets. Now, unfortunately, he's sending one guy, as opposed to sending in an entire, company, platoon, anything, so as you might suspect, forced into a surrender, kind of make him even more kind of goosey, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's just so much German equipment on the map now compared to Russian. Russians, I mean, they still have a few guard squads, but now they've thrown in Ogmenchikis to hold the front line. And there's just not really too much you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're bringing the Ogmenchikis, you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, aren't you?
Yeah.
But the guards are going to go and do their best to guard really everything. Regrettably, it will not be enough. We're going to go down to the south real quick as we're seeing those rinky-dink little motorcycles getting aced pretty darn quickly. And yeah, when the P-Grants are charging, that's when you know it was over. And there we go. Yep, Slutsk is over. And that is a far more devastating KD than I had expected. But I imagine it started kind of really lining up there at the end.
Yeah, if you look at the chronology.
Oh no. I mean, the beginning was pretty hefty. And that's actually where the major piece of it kind of started. I felt like it was very different. I don't know why that was.
He took like a really good amount of ground with that suicidal push early on, which is the important thing in the end of the day, but he didn't really take enough ground to get that important +2. And with that Vanguard income against Balance, I mean, it's that classic dichotomy of 20 minutes or bust. badgerjelly couldn't do that.
Exactly. But if you look at the kills here, definitely some standouts. T-34 taking out 3. Is this 2 claiming 2 Tigers for himself? Actually, he has 5 ground kills, so it's a ground ace right there. Well done. But other than that, not too much home to write about.
No.
Opposite, on the other hand,
wow.
The early 88, and pretty much the only actually anti-air that we saw the entire time.
Mm-hmm. That Sturm group is a very offensive name.
I'm trying to flip that there, and I can't do it. Tiger, in the meantime, moving on to a slightly less offensive name of Barch. The trip with the T-34s, I think this one that was to the north, I want to say. And heck, wow, and Stiert over here as well. 1, 2, 3. 3 PE2s to his name. So really, really well done by the aircraft today. Claiming a couple of ground kills here and there, but the big killers, Panther, Tiger, and a couple of planes.
Yeah, the real heavy armor actually coming in pretty clutch here. And of course, Slutsk is always a very good map for heavy armor divisions.
Yes, exactly. Really, really well done. To both players. Actually, I kind of envisioned a different outcome myself, but I'm happy to see, regardless, a solid game.
Mm-hmm. It just came down to the economy in the end of the day. The badgerjelly could have made like a good second push up north somewhere just to flip it to that all important 2 times bleed. Probably would have been a different game.
Absolutely. But folks, that's going to about do it for us today here on this particular cast. I do want to highlight again, if you are interested in taking part in these kind of interesting tournaments, head on over to the SD2. I think it's the League Discord.
Yeah, League.
And we have sign-ups there constantly. There's a lot of great events. So definitely do swing by and say hello. Yes, sir.
No, it's just really cool to see, especially, thanks Herr Robert for actually setting up, some monthly tournaments for the game. The wargame community has had monthly tournaments quite a while now, and I think a great way to experiment. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of close combat, but it's nice to see a tournament try to experiment with it again to see if it can work, and just with other different formats to see if, there's another interesting way to play the game.
Absolutely. But on the heels of that, any other final thoughts, sir?
No.
In that case, folks, I think it's time for us to say adieu. Until next time, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.